seconds and counting.
Hey, what's good, guys? Clutch here and Essam here, back in another video. And for today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Houston Texans. And as we know, today was day one, technically day two of Texans OTAs. But I'm just going to say day one because, it's the first day of media coverage. And it's the first time we're actually seeing it. So it was day one of Texans OTAs. OTAs is pretty much kind of like a group workout / practice where the rookies and veterans get to mix in together, and it's the first time they're really working out on the Texans practice field all together. First time CJ Stroud's throwing with the real group of receivers, with the real offensive line. It's the first time of all of that. And it was a pretty interesting day. There was some pretty good clips put out there by guys like Brooks Cabina, Aaron Wilson, Ari Alexander, and I'm sure there's some other guys who were there recording clips, but there's some pretty good clips on Twitter. The clips consist of CJ Stroud throwing to receivers, of course Davis Mills, Case Keenum throwing to the receivers, all of the three quarterbacks going through pitching drills, pitching the ball to the running back. They all had practice drills of throwing to the running back to the flat, just a bunch of little different drills here and there. And it was good media coverage by the guys there. They recorded what I feel like a pretty good portion of it at least. So if y'all want to go see that, it's on Twitter. We'll probably put a couple of clips in this video for y'all to see. But for most of the clips, just go on Twitter, go through those guys' accounts, or you could go through ClutchDENTX and go through our retweets. I'm sure we've retweeted a numerous amount of those. But I think the most important thing from today was pretty much the stuff that the people said, hints being Davis Mills, CJ Stroud, and DeMeco Ryans in the press conferences following OTAs. They all said some pretty interesting stuff, from Davis Mills saying he's still competing for QB1, which, is a great mindset to have. You really can't come in here and say, CJ Stroud's QB1 or Case Keenum is blah, blah, blah. I'm just here to whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, he said some pretty interesting stuff. One quote, he said, if he feels like he's a better quarterback today from a year ago, and he says, definitely I'm blessed to have the opportunity to compete for another job. And I'm not sure if it's going to be too much competing. I feel like we all know CJ Stroud's going to be that day one quarterback, but it's a great mindset to have from your backup / QB3. But there was numerous amount of quotes and stuff like that from him. He says, I keep working on myself. I put my head down and work every day. He says, I'm still competing for that starting job. Davis Mills said this about DeMeco Ryans. He said he knows what it's like to go through a training camp in this heat, so we feel the fire coming from him. It's been great. And yes, that's no lie. This Houston Heat, already today, it's not even technically summer yet. It's still, the spring, I think? It's still considered the spring. May 20th, 21st, 22nd, whatever it is, I don't know. But it's still already pretty hot. It's probably close to 90 degrees over there, close to downtown where they practice. So yeah, it's really hot. There's no lie. Davis Mills and Bobby Slowick on the offense that he's gonna run. He says we're playing fast and we want to run by people this year. And that's also very, very true. We have playmakers on this field. We have Devin Singletary, who I feel like can run by people. Tank Dell, I feel like he can run by people. Nico Collins, in some certain instances, he can run by people. But yeah, that's a pretty good thing to say. Also on Tank Dell, he says, I don't think I've seen anybody get in and out of cuts like Tank. And yes, that's very, very true. Just from the few clips that we saw from today, from Tank Dell, he made some good catches, a couple good, plays, if you will. But yes, he was cutting in and out of routes. It just looked so crisp. It looked so natural. Aaron Wilson did say he had a drop today, but he followed that up with some great route running and some great catches after that. So that's great to see. That's great to see that he keeps his head up and just doesn't, forward after that. It's just practice, but yeah. Robert Woods, he had this to say on CJ Stroud. He said, good leader coming in, vocal, picking apart the offense, grasping it pretty early on the field, making some good throws, making right decisions, and good accuracy with the football. And that's a lot. He did say a lot about CJ Stroud, and it's pretty much all true. CJ Stroud, he's a guy coming from Ohio State who was, in my opinion, I don't want to say better than Bryce Young, but in my opinion, I don't think there was that much of a difference between the two. They're both different style of quarterbacks, but they're both very, very good in their own rights. And I think CJ Stroud he's up there. So there's stuff like that. One thing, DJ Bieniemy from ESPN. He covers the Houston Texans for ESPN. He put some observations out. He said Davis Mills ran with the first team offense during 7-on-7 team drills. So, yes, Davis Mills was the QB1, or like, I guess he had the title QB1 for today and probably will until like the middle of training camp. And then after that, we'll see CJ Stroud start getting the main QB1 reps, or at least I'd hope so. He said first team pass defense was airtight, forced to nothing but checkdowns. Jimmy Ward had an athletic pass breakup on Robert Woods. I mean, that's great to see. With Davis Mills at QB1, I mean, I'm not surprised that it was all checkdowns. We saw that last year. Most of it was checkdowns. But seeing the secondary be airtight, I mean, that's very, very exciting. I feel like that's one of our brightest spots on the team. I mean, we have guys like, of course, Derek Stingley Jr., who we expect to take a major leap this year. We have Jalen Petrie, who played like an all-pro last year. I mean, there's nothing more to be said about him. He had almost 150 tackles, 5 interceptions, a couple sacks, I think. So, I mean, he was just elite. Of course, we had a Jimmy Ward, who played like a superstar for San Francisco last year. I mean, he's been a pretty good player for them in the years prior. So adding him to this defense, already having Steven Nelson, he did not participate today, but having him in the secondary is a big help. Signing Shaquille Griffin, that's also a big help, more depth. But yeah, he also said that Stroud had the longest completion of the day. He said it was about 20 yards or so to Tank Dell, layered it over an underneath defender. So I'm guessing that means he put it right over the linebacker. I'm not sure how to read that out. But yeah, I think he means he threw it right over a linebacker, put it perfectly over the linebacker for Tank Dell to be able to grab it. And he also said Dameon Pierce the longest run of the day, which, I mean, we shouldn't be shocked by that. It's Dameon Pierce. He said Tunsil, Dalton Schultz, Denzel Perryman, Steven Nelson weren't present today. And I mean, they are, most of them, all of them are veterans, like older veterans. So OTAs is voluntary, so I mean, I'm not too surprised. I think they'll come in at least for a couple days. I would be surprised if they didn't. I think it's a great chance for team building, but if they don't come, they don't come. I mean, it is what it is. It's voluntary at the end of the day. Now some quotes from CJ Stroud. He said, quote by quote, "I'm built for this." I mean, to be able to come in here, compete, do all of that, he's built for that. And he's been built for that since his early days. He was very highly doubted in high school, didn't have really nothing going for him. And he competed and finally was able to go to Ohio State and eventually became the number 2 pick in the NFL draft by the Houston Texans. So yeah, that's true. CJ Stroud said this about Dameon Pierce. He said, DP is amazing. DP is a dog. He's a great person. I mean, all of that is true. We all saw that last year. We all saw the type of person and player he is. He said this about working with the twos. He said this, quote by quote, "It's not about ones or twos right now. It's about getting better." And I mean, I love that quote by CJ Stroud. Very, very true. It just shows his mindset. He's not worried. He's not really focused on that. He's just focused on getting better every day. He said, "Nothing has been given to me. I have to earn it." So it's great that he has that mindset. Very good things said about him. He didn't say anything too, I guess too out there. He was pretty on par. Said some good things. Jalen Petrie also spoke. He said, "I can feel it," regarding the energy between fans. But there's a lot of quotes by the players and more quotes of what I just said. I'm sure the Texans live streamed it on YouTube, so if you want to go watch it, you can go watch these quotes word by word by the players themselves. Probably more entertaining than me just reading every single quote. But yeah, day 1 of OTAs, I mean, it was very fun. I mean, day 2 technically, but yeah, day 1 for media coverage. But yeah, very entertaining. We got to see some clips. We got to see the guys in action. We got to see the guys throw, like CJ Stroud. We got to see him throw to real receivers, as in like Nico Collins, Xavier Hutchinson. We saw all of that. We saw Dameon Pierce out there, Jalen Petrie out there, Jimmy Ward being a veteran leader out there. We saw all of that. Very exciting. DeMeco Ryans was out there. Very exciting time to be a Houston Texans fan. I personally can't wait for the season. I'm very excited just for training camp alone. Like, I've never really gone to any training camp or Texans games in general. And I think this may be one of the first years I'm going to go. It just seems like a whole different atmosphere. Even different from, like, the prime Deshaun Watson era. It just seems different. I haven't really felt this excited in a minute. And just to see these guys here, see excited how they are to be here, I want to experience the energy too. And I want to experience it in person. So, yeah. But, I mean, that's pretty much it. Not too much, but there's some clips on Twitter and whatnot if y'all want to go see them. But, I mean, yeah, it's been Clutch City Entertainment. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a good day. Peace.